r/ask Reddit. What is something you know but you're not supposed to know? That my not married to my dad mother enjoys threesomes. She's not the most tech savvy person in the world and accidentally posted a threesome request publicly on Facebook. I have seen poke and friend request. Where is this threesome request button? Learned my late father was really into Russian women. He kept liking pages on Facebook, not realizing his profile settings shared what pages he liked. Old people Facebooking reveals a lot of weird secrets. That my mother slept with several of the men in the neighborhood during the time my dad was very ill and literally dying. A family member is HIV positive. Doesn't want rest of family to know. When he broke down and told my mom, I overheard. She has passed and he has no idea I know. I was accidentally given access to all salaries for a large hospital. Finding out some doctors made $80,000 and others $800,000 was pretty eye-opening. My great-grandparents were also brother and sister. I don't want to believe it, but I totally do. My mom told me of a couple in her hometown who later found out they were siblings. They had somehow been separated at a very young age during World War II and met again when they were older, not knowing they were siblings. Somehow it was figured out after they'd had a few kids. Jeffrey Eugenides on the thread. My dad killed himself almost 20 years ago. At the time my mum told me it was because he was having gay affairs with people and he couldn't live in that sinful lifestyle anymore. Turns out she cheated on him, and that was what sent him over the edge. I only know this because I was finally able to read a copy of his note last year. Damn. I am sorry. I am surprised she didn't destroy the note. My sister has my dad's. I saw it once but never want to see it again. Almost 20 years here too. Thankfully without shit like this clouding it. That my mom tried to have CPS take my daughter from me when she was born by claiming I used drugs while I was pregnant. I was 9 years clean. She tried again when I was diagnosed with cancer. You would be amazed to see what doctors actually put in your medical records. When I got cancer I ended up with my full medical records when they were transferring them from one hospital to another. I guess it never occurred to me that there were written records that I had never gotten to see. They write some weird and specific stuff in there, like verbatim everything I had ever said to a doctor, including what type of pizza I'd had for dinner. We do that stuff as a sad type of thing, or at least I do. I'll add any detail no matter how inconsequential if it'll save me trouble in the long run. Makes sense. It was just funny because I tend to use very colorful language describing my symptoms and they wrote it exactly as I said it. The idea of a medical professional having to review my records and read that stuff totally cracked me up. Also, it's nice to know the doctor is actually listening. My dad has been growing some apparently fantastic weed for over 50 years now. That's how he made car payments when he was unemployed for a few years, even though he could have worked but didn't. He's got a lot of nice things that are above his employment level. Didn't register why until mom told us who used to be her supplier when she was in her hippie days. Last I checked, years ago, he had the trust of numerous private landowners and the keys to the gates. They let him build and maintain feed plots for deer and turkey, so he can have his own private hunting land and be out on his own. But I'm pretty sure I know how he pays and is paid now. Real country, this place. Fenced off gates to roads you have to go on foot through thick foliage to get around the gate that's blocking the only road in. Good 10 miles from the nearest police station. Some of those plots, as close as he is to the sheriff. I'm pretty sure he gets passes from the law for various reasons. My dad, this boring loner who's never been in trouble in his life. A real square who married a free love hippie, a weed outlaw. How my parents met. Mom was a stripper and dad just happened to go there. How I Met Your Mother spin-off with Barney and Quinn. That my dad wrote several suicide notes. I feel for you. I hope he gets help. The restaurant I worked at had some pretty solid sweet potato fries. They come frozen in a bag. Everyone thinks we make it in-house. Years of working in food service has taught me terms like made in-house, handmade, etc. are thrown around freely. Sure, they were made by hand, just doesn't specify whose hand or when. That my uncle's son is not his son. His then wife was banging her cousin and boom, baby. To this day, my cousin doesn't know and treats his dad, who raised him, as if he were his own and had never said a word about it to anyone but me, like shit because of the lies his mother spread about him. I kind of want to tell him to do a DNA test so that he'll know and maybe, just maybe, realize his mother isn't the son she made herself out to be. Edited to add, he knows his son isn't his because he is completely infertile. You could be chaotic evil and give him a few home ancestry DNA kit for a gift. Honestly, chaotic neutral. HR once sent me a list of wages for everyone in my department right up to the VP. It included my boss, my boss's boss, etc. At first glance, it looked harmless, but they had only filtered the list by job title so I wouldn't see anyone above me. I told my boss, and I'm pretty sure the person who sent it just got to do Excel better next time talk. I swear people are ducking dumb in Excel. My dad had cancer. The family thought I didn't need to know that since I was in college. My mom had a child out of wedlock and gave him up for adoption. This was the early 70s. My family keeps me out of the loop in important life events for bullshit ass reasons like those. Do I not deserve to help bear the emotional burden? It does more harm than good in the long run for me. Best of luck to you and your family though. My family does it too. In some cases I have been the only one they didn't tell, which has resulted in me being a very closed off person, and I doubt I'd tell them anything if I got sick either. Not until afterwards. Just like they've taught me, it has often made me feel like the outsider in my own family. That my mum and dad love my nephew who lives with us more than me. How do I know that? I heard them talking in bed. Edit. 1 to anyone wondering, I don't really care, it doesn't affect me in any way and I'm used to it. I have good grades, friends, and I'm happy, so yeah. Not a nephew, but he's my cousin. And yes, my mother loves him more than me, and quite frankly, I'm okay with it. I just wish she'd listen to me sometimes with as much attention as she listens to him. Just tonight, my friend who I haven't seen in a long time invited me to get drinks after work, then cancelled because she was too tired. I found the photos a few minutes ago of her and some mutual friends out for drinks, so apparently I wasn't invited and she found a better option. She didn't realize I'd see the pictures. Did you like the picture? Absolutely. Just found out from my mom. My boyfriend's mom used to service all the men at a local fire department, unmarried or married. Some of the men even got in trouble and were suspended. Your boyfriend's mom is a badge bunny. Service is an interesting choice of word. That my mom and I make the same sounds when we climax. I really need to move out, and my parents really need to learn to close doors. My dad and I both sneeze the same and make small talk about the weather. Yours is more interesting though. My parents regret adopting me. I always felt like this was the case. I am adopted. My mum couldn't have kids and I was a baby when I was put up for adoption. It always my mum I felt struggled the most. I was so wrong. My mum died 4 years ago and she loved me more than anything. My dad on the other hand moved on in 2 months and cut me out of his life completely. Didn't come to my wedding or meet his granddaughter. They never should have said that they regretted adopting you, but don't let it change your feelings towards them. That my superior officer, who's a massive dong, is cheating on his wife of I think 15 years with the female patrol sergeant in our police department. I could literally ruin his life if I wanted to. Everyone basically hates him anyway, but still I haven't built up the nerve to face him. But if he's being a dong, I might tell him that. I know that'll shut him up for a bit. If you plan on doing anything with this information, do so through the correct channels. Personal confrontation is too dangerous with life-ending shit like this. Yeah, a cop like that getting everything ripped out from him that way is likely to end very badly. Possibly life-endingly bad if they know who it was and are not locked up. Don't take this to say all cops would be murderous pricks, but ones who are cheating and no one likes are definitely on the list of likely. I know what's in my mum's will. My brother gets almost everything 90%. I once kinda confronted her without letting on that I knew I was going to get that much less than him, and she said she would give him a larger share because he was weaker and not educated. Whereas since I am educated, I was going to be fine even if I got nothing. I accepted it and moved on. Nothing is worth my family, man. My grandfather was self-made, gave my father nothing but an education. He gave the rest land and cows, and within less than a decade they were all destitute and begging from my dad. My father is self-made and he's given me an education. I will be self-made too. My dad had cancer and didn't want to tell anyone. My mother told me and I had to pretend that I didn't know. When my mum's cancer came back, she made me swear not to tell her mum. She got sicker and sicker and I still wasn't allowed to tell. On the phone, Nana was begging me to tell her if it had come back and I couldn't. I told mum after that call I couldn't lie anymore. It tore me up. I have a copy of a private investigative report on criminal conduct that the local DA unsuccessfully sued for to use in a criminal complaint. As a result, the subject of the report is still practicing because he was acquitted. I legally can't do a thing with it even though I know he's still working with young people. Don't listen to the people in the comments before getting a lawyer's opinion. My sister was trying to flirt with this guy at a bar but then lost him in the crowd. She went to the bar to have a drink and see if he'd come back. This other guy walked up and she chatted with him to have a reason to stay and look for the other guy. She shrugged and thought, he'll do I guess. They just got back from their honeymoon. Hopefully this has a happy ending and they're happy together. I might be a year older than I and everyone else have been made to believe. I was flipping through an old baby book of mine that I found when my family was moving and found an ultrasound dated in August the year before I was born, with my name written above it. My birthday is in September and the baby in the picture was very developed, so there's no possible way it's just an early ultrasound. On one hand, my mom is mentally ill and always had attachment issues with me growing up. I know she had issues getting pregnant and treated me like she had to protect me with her life when I was little. It would make sense that she would want me in the house with her for an extra year. I also developed really early, learned to read and write months before everyone else my age, and got my period when I was 10. Not super uncommon but still on the early side. On the other hand, this seems like an extremely difficult and illegal thing to do. There are other possible explanations. Maybe the ultrasound date was misprinted, or maybe my mom had a miscarriage. That would be another thing I wasn't supposed to know though. I was going to say sounds like she lost her pregnancy baby very soon before getting pregnant with you. My COO is supposed to be retiring soon and I'm going to be promoted to a training position under the CEO. Congrats and good luck. That's big news for you. My mum let slip that my grandfather and his brother used to rape her and her twin sister repeatedly. What makes it worse is that my aunt has Down syndrome and produced a child from one of the rapes when she was 15. So my cousin is also my uncle. My mum was the first to notice her sister may have been pregnant and told my grandmother, which resulted in my mum being flogged so bad she couldn't go into town for weeks because her face was a mess. Mum let this all slip when my boyfriend and I were driving her home. She was blotto. Such a fun car ride. Jesus Christ. That's it. That's enough internet. My mother-in-law got drunk once and told me that my sister-in-law has always been a real dunt, and that if she could go back she would have made my father-in-law wear a condom on the night they conceived her. My dad told me that my mom has embezzled a lot of money from the places she used to work. They both also did drugs. My dad claimed he did it for recreation and could stop anytime. Mom was different, and he said she had to have it. This explains her fits of rage growing up. Oh, ask dad how mom never got caught and he won't give any more details. My boss CC'd me an accounting list on accident. She didn't even realize she did it, never brought it up to me, never called me into her office to say so about that. My boss at a place I used to work would go on road trips with a crew of product installers. They'd spend the night sharing a couple of hotel rooms. The boss would take pictures of his, all male, employees while they slept. He is unhappily married with 3 grown children. There is plenty of evidence that he is gay, but deep in the closet, we all wished he would just come out and make everyone's life easier. My Bill has an affair with a man while his wife was pregnant. My cousin has a half-sister she doesn't know about. The sister is a stripper in Atlantic City with 3 kids, everyone knows but her. When I was 6 years old I had leukemia and it broke my family's heart, and they tried to hide it from me, but each night I heard my mother tearing up before she slept beside me. I didn't know what I had, but with all the doctors I thought this is the end. Me thinking I was doing the right thing, I zoned out so that when I die they will miss me less. But here I am in September, I will be 18. That my husband was having an affair with his ex the whole time we have been together, and he got her pregnant while I was pregnant. He has a ducking kid with this dunt. I don't know how to deal with it other than telling my daughter she has a half sister when she turns 18. I found out on my daughter's 4th birthday in October last year because his ex texted me and told me. Every petty little secret my wife's family has. Those little things like, don't tell Anne, but Bob spent too much money on his new car. The secret gets spread around quickly but no one will talk about it openly. I'm 60. My GF is 59. About 40 years ago she wrote a book that became a bestseller. The celebrity freaked her out. She changed her name, moved to a small town, ignored everyone from her past. She doesn't know I know about it. My boss's salary. I was working in his office in the night as my desktop crashed. Way back in 2004. His salary slip was lying around on his table. Saw it and was astonished at the money he was making. I read my mom's diary from 2002 when I was 9. Found out that she got an abortion when she was a teen. Didn't understand it at the time, but now I do, and I'm feeling kind of guilty for all the times I asked for a sibling. My grandma has been a hooker most of her life. A doctor accidentally gave me another patient's HIV results on paper with some of my test results. Doctor doesn't know they gave it to me. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.